Hey guys, DPX here. Hope you're all having a great day. And you know, when you think about crossovers, it's one of the coolest things ever. You just have to have a good crossover. I mean, seriously, you have one big thing and another big thing that are from two separate brands or whatever crossing over. We've seen crossovers before, like those Marvel and DC comics, like Alien vs. Predator. We've seen a lot of them in many medias. And I'm not to say video games have more crossovers, but you know, this channel is mostly about video games. So yeah, today is the top 10 crossover games that were totally unexpected, but that totally worked. Yeah, the title will be worded a bit differently, but I just have a few rules. Only games with the base game as a crossover. Like, for example. Oh, I don't want to give any examples. But as example of what I'm trying to exclude, stuff like how Link makes a little cameo in Super Mario RPG. He makes a cameo, and that cameo is a crossover. But the game, that doesn't make the game a crossover. He just has a cameo. No modes either. Like in Metal Gear Solid 3, you have the Ape Escape thing. Yeah, none of that. These are going to be full-fledged games with crossovers. Anyways, guys, let's begin. Heavy from Team Fortress 2. The guy from Strong Bad. Max from Sam & Max. And Tycho from I Have No Clue. All playing poker? Poker Night at the Inventory is a crossover between multiple Telltale franchises with Heavy from Team Fortress 2 thrown in there. And they're playing poker. But surprisingly, it works. It's poker, but the charm comes from the characters crossing over. Sure, seeing Heavy playing poker with a rabbit and whatnot may seem weird, but it's made up for with how much it works. It's just not higher because this is not at all what they do in their games. Therefore, it's not very true to their characters or their games. But still, it still works though. Managed to make the list. Okay, putting this game on the list, maybe personal bias, but I just really like this game. But this game there's no deny that it works really well. And who knew? Who knew that a crossover between Wario and Bomberman would work so well? The game plays a lot like Bomberman while having the option to play as either Wario or Bomberman. This was more unexpected because of how new Wario was when this game came out, but it works. Sure, Wario in some of his games or some depictions of him show him using a bomb, so of course this works since Wario throws bombs like Bomberman does. It's a great game and I suggest you play it. I wish it got re-released. I don't know. Great game. Now this one is pretty random. A 2D one-on-one fighting game crossover between multiple indie franchises. Some known, some not. Known ones, but strange inclusions being characters like Isaac from The Binding of Isaac. And a bigger beefier version of Shovel Knight. The game is called Blade Strangers. This, despite looking like it plays like, say, Street Fighter, actually feels more like Smash. You know, it's cool. It goes together. It is a solid crossover that is probably a sleeper hit of 2018. I gotta get it. Capcom, Sega, and Namco, 3 huge publishers in the gaming industry. That being said, Project Cross Zone makes them cross over in RPG. And that's only the first one. Project Cross Zone 2 includes characters from Nintendo's Fire Emblem and Xenoblade Chronicles. So I should have started the entry with including Nintendo characters, but whatever. This works though. It shouldn't. This should never work. Okay, maybe it should, but like, this is random though. It's Sega, Namco, Capcom, and a little bit of Nintendo crossing over in some JRPG. Is it a JRPG? I'd say it's an RPG. I'm just gonna call it an RPG. I don't even know what to say, but it works. That's the bottom line. You all know it was gonna happen eventually. A crossover between Pokemon and Nobunaga's Ambition. You don't know what Nobunaga's Ambition is? It's just a turn-based strategy, tactical RPG fantasy style game with the kind of characters that don't look like Pokemon that you see in this gameplay. Yeah, they crossed over with Pokemon. Yeah. That should never work with Pokemon. But surprisingly, it does. Really well. It does really well, in fact. Pokemon Conquest is a game that plays more like Pokemon and weirdly goes together nicely with each other. This is a really fun game. If only we can get a sequel sometime sooner than later. That would be fantastic. Seriously, on the Switch? Let's get it. This entry is for any weeaboo watching this list. Okay. This Shonen Jump games take multiple animes like DBZ, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, and more, and puts them together in a fighting game. And it's really cool. But the game works a bit different. It works more like the Dragon Ball Xenoverse games, rather than a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is really cool. Yeah, they're almost like Smash in 3D, and with anime characters. This was, of course, gonna work. It's not on here because it should have never worked. It's on here because no one expected it. Everyone wanted this. I'm sure all those weeaboos wanted this. But no one expected this. But it happened. And it works. Can't wait for Jump Force. Can you? This one was one that everybody wanted for so long. 2 icons finally crossing over. It was about time. That was Mario and the Rabbids in a game that's like XCOM? What? This is the most recent example of crossovers that should never work but does. The story in this game is that some kid that is a fan, like a huge fan of Mario, with the assistance of a robot named Beepo, invented a helmet that can combine two objects together into one. Also, the Rabbids coexist in this world. The helmet ends up sending Beepo and the Rabbids into the Mario world. Long story short. There's more details, but just play the game. That sounds like a handful, and seems to be a weak point for the game by most people. But it's fitting, I guess. The bottom line is, though, that this should never work. But it does. It just does. Disney and Final Fantasy. Those are two very random and unrelated things to go together in a crossover, but they did, and it works. I know you hear me repeating myself, but like, this is Disney and Final Fantasy. I mean, seriously, Kingdom Hearts combines the world of Final Fantasy with the world of Disney, and it just works so much that it's actually a masterpiece, and it's a fan favorite. Many people love Disney, and many people love Final Fantasy, and this game doesn't just take those. It also has some original characters like Sora and Riku and more. I'm not going to go down the list. It's just, and they fit so good that, like, seeing Disney and Final Fantasy characters and talking to each other doesn't even seem weird anymore. It might have at, like, first glance, but it's made in such a way that it just works. Some crossovers, I just can't put my finger on why, but they just work. This is definitely one of them. And another example of that is Marvel vs. Capcom. Yeah, I don't quite know what it is, but Marvel and Capcom just go together like bread and butter. Starting off with just X-Men and Street Fighter, a later game had Marvel, like, beyond the X-Men, Marvel joining the mix. And then a later game had Capcom beyond Street Fighter characters, like more Capcom characters joining the mix as well, making Marvel vs. Capcom. This has become a tournament fighter, and just about every tournament, just about, has Marvel vs. Capcom at it. And it's just really great. I mean, if only Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was, like, as great as the other games, that we would be happier with this franchise, but I'm not complaining. The reason it's on here is because this should have never worked, but it does. So, I know what you're saying. DPX, what can possibly be at number 1? Well, before we get there, here are some other strange crossover ideas, but were executed perfectly. Well, nothing's perfect. You know what I mean. Seriously, did you actually not expect Smash at least to be on the list? Not only is Super Smash Bros. A crossover with multiple Nintendo franchises, but it's also a celebration of gaming in general, as it has characters from Sega, Square Enix, Capcom, Namco, and Konami. There isn't much to say about this game that I haven't said yet. I mean, Smash, whether if it's a particular game in the series or if it's the entire franchise or something relating to Smash has topped multiple of my lists. So I've talked about Smash quite a lot. It just, Nintendo franchises fit together well. And that's what makes this game work. Work more than all the others. Is why it's #1. Enough said. Well, that'll be it for this video. Did you agree with the list? Did you not agree with the list? Let me know in the comments below. And, tell me what, crossovers you were not expecting, but you thought worked. Or maybe you can just give me a list of your favorite crossovers or stuff like that. This was a very specific list, but I think it's good. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.